This was a 1 a.m. on a Monday morning race for me. And I was absolutely set to be like, well, wake up in the morning, maybe get some breakfast or something, sit down and watch some F1 on
Yeah.
replay. But instead of that, Oscar Piastri went and got pole.
Hmm.
Something in my waters just went, Rod, just think about this for 1 second.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell
No,
you something.
let me just be straight with you, no bullshit for 1 second, please. Oscar Piastri might be the fucking championship. He might win the drivers' championship this year. So do you want to sleep through the races or do you want to get up and watch them live like a hero?
Yeah, like a hero.
So that's what I did. And I'm friggin' tired today.
Yeah, I can fucking imagine. Oh my word.
He's won two out of
Well,
the four races.
yeah, and just got unlucky in Australia as well.
I mean, he is on form, even though the points aren't necessarily reflecting it. Like he has clawed back a 23-point deficit to
Yes,
Norris in no time.
in no time. Yeah, I read I think it was Andrew Benson on the BBC or someone similar to that. Sorry if I've got that wrong. Read a good article about comparing the two today, and some of Lando Norris's comments and quotes are just like, I don't know, it felt so good last year. And even when I'm
Yeah.
winning, it feels really hard and bad. And those are exact quotes.
Yeah, don't come at us when we just quote Lando Norris. Like, please.
That's just how it goes. It's what he sounds like and
That's what
says.
he said those words.
And there's no doubt that Norris is driving well for a car that doesn't feel good to him, but it's
true.
still, everyone's like, it's still the best car. Easily the best car. It's so
Yes.
good. Let's talk about
Let's unpack
Oscar
it.
first and
Yeah,
then
sure.
Lando second, because it should be this is always happens in sport, right? You talk about the losers as opposed to talk about
Oh, no.
why the winners are winning and instead of why the losers aren't hitting their potential. The real challenge this week for Oscar came with the safety car in Bahrain, where it was like, right, who was behind him on softs? Russell, I think, went on the softs. Yeah, in the pit stop during the safety car, and so Oscar knew that he had what should have been essentially the fastest car right behind him, based on tire strategy and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, oh my god, if he doesn't get this restart right, and he hasn't a chance to lead off safety cars in Formula One basically ever, so how's he going to get this exactly right? And he picked an odd spot and just floored it. And they don't have the fastest car on the straights, and Mercedes is pretty quick down the straight and was going to just sit in that slipstream, but it never looked in doubt. And then from there, immediately was the second out in front after that, after one lap. I mean, that McLaren is so quick through the corners, it's insane. But Oscar is just also all over it, and it really makes me think if they'd gotten either of Oscar or Lando out in some clean air at all in Japan, instead of just doing the exact same strategy for both of them, they probably would have got Max in some way or another, because it is just so good in the clear air. Just looks so calm.
We'll get to Lando in a minute, but yeah, that's part of the argument is whether they can drive in clear air or not. I think that's a crucial difference between the two right now.
Yeah, exactly. And Oscar just seems like he is more. I mean, Lando would say it. Oscar does seem like he is more in control of when he can turn it up or turn it down. I can go faster if you need me to, or I can slow down if you need me to. I can make adjustments if you feel in the car more. And it's something that I think we said last year. Is Oscar's racecraft his best skill? And I don't think it is. I think we saw it a couple of times yesterday. He locked up one tire and just couldn't really get the overtake done on Russell. He was just picking odd spots, wasn't setting up the rest of the lap for himself. Was going on the outside when I know the inside was blocked, but he could have done a little more. And he did get a pretty good block from Russell at one certain point, but then was like, I've been knocked off the track. And then in Japan, when he went side by side with Max and went onto the grass, instead of just being like, why don't I let Max go out first and I'll just ride his gearbox into this straight that's coming up immediately, and then I'll just overtake him. Like he seems impulsive, or like every move is like it has to be the move. And there was a period where Max Verstappen was the same, right? It was just like this move or I'll die. And then Max at his best is the guy who like slowly hunts you down. That is like, I'm just going to get you at exactly the right spot every single time.
Himself.
And we all agreed. Yeah. And we all agree that like drivers look at their worst when they look desperate. And Lando, when he's behind, sometimes looks desperate. And Oscar, in direct contrast, doesn't seem as desperate. Maybe he's more conservative in that way. Maybe that's part of the problem. Like maybe he's just going to be great at getting pole and winning. And you could do that every single weekend, probably for the rest of the year. If you get pole, it's really hard to overtake. But he's not acting like he's only been in Formula One for a little while. He's acting like a driver who's much more experienced.
Yeah, Norris, the quotes from Norris are all around, I don't feel comfortable in the car. I'm confident that it's good. It's so good, in fact, that it's covering up for some of the things that I'm not doing well. And when the car and I are just not in sync with each other, the car is still so good that it's sort of masking a bit of how bad I am. Sure seems
Good comments,
like,
good open comments, right? I'm very happy about that.
yeah, nothing, that's fine. Completely embrace that. I mean, it annoys me because Crofty said this during the commentary, and I was like, Crofty, I don't want to have to agree with you, but you are correct. That he had one bad turn, one bad corner in Melbourne where he spun out and ended up getting beached. But if not for that, he would have got a whole bunch of points. And he had one bad sector in Japanese qualifying. And if not for that, he would have qualified extremely well and had great pace that race. So he's not putting too many wheels wrong. And when he's not leading, he's there, as opposed to Norris, who seems to be not really leading. Also, when he's like, the best he can hope for is recovering. And then he's not going to recover to first. Only weeks after Lando Norris had that phrase, they asked him, is the McLaren beatable? And he went, we're beatable. It's just that we're the only team with two good drivers right now. And it's like, ever since then, they haven't been a team with two good drivers. They've been a team with one good driver and another one just doing their best.
Yeah. Yeah, it must be a really weird dynamic, right? The idea that he was so locked in last season, Lando. Like it did seem like it was only ever going bad when something kind of up and outside of his control a little bit. So whatever's changed in the car has come toward Oscar, or maybe it was there for Oscar too.
Yeah,
but he's picked up more of the car in the off season and in these first few races, and it's just got it clicking. That's what Lando kept saying, right? It's just not clicking, and we hear that from all the drivers, right? Everybody says that. I mean, speak to Max Verstappen; he'll tell you about the car not clicking. He is dragging that thing around the course the whole time, every lap. Yeah. He's just like, "Come on,
is the car meant to click like this? It's clicking in a bad way. This is bad clicks.
There's a lot of this clicking in my ears."
I'm having to get out and actually, like a wheelchair, sort of push the wheels myself. Is that good?
Yeah. Is that okay? Luckily, I'm so strong and handsome and so good from I'm getting all that practice on the simulator, getting really strong arms.
I don't want anybody to accuse us of like soft putting this. I want us to be bold. Do we think that this is Oscar Piastri championship charge or no?
Oh, it's absolutely Oscar Piastri championship charge. Every other team on the grid is saying that they just don't know where they're going to find the upgrades. Like they're pretty locked down now from a formula perspective. There's not too much more that they can do, and it's diminishing returns, right? If you just know you're not going to be that competitive, like the Constructors' Championship, even if Norris can come third on a really bad race weekend, they're going to walk the Constructors' Championship because they're right. Yeah, I think they're the only team with two good drivers. The only option was Ferrari doing something. They've got two brilliant drivers, but the car is just not very good. Well, it's okay compared to everybody else's.
So there would be races where other teams are on it for whatever reason, the track suits them or whatever. I mean, I don't think Lando has lost his talent. It's just that as the team developed the car through the year, Lando might be in a position to say, look, Oscar's won 10 races now. He's doing great, but it would be really nice if I could get some podiums and maybe some wins. Let's try changing a couple of things with the setup. That might help me as well, and that helps the team. So I think that he'll be pushing very hard in that direction. What I've been thinking about is, as other drivers and other teams maybe win a few races or steal a few points from McLaren, who does it benefit more in the context of the Drivers' Championship? Because right now it's even Stevens, but I mean, if this continues in another month, we'll be talking about Oscar Piastri, 20 or 30 points clear of Lando Norris potentially. That might be dream world, but let's just say that happens. If it doesn't happen though, and then Oscar starts to lose races to other people, he'll be saying, hey, listen, we can't muck around with this car too much because I've been winning races. Do you want to keep winning races? Because then we better keep the car as it is because I'm winning. Or I've got a better chance of continuing to win. Lando will be doing the opposite, of course. And then it also comes down to what are McLaren going to do with team orders if it comes down to it, and there's a battle on for the Drivers' Championship. I'm talking 6 months or 4 or 5 months away right now from now. One driver needs to be sort of dominant, but there needs to be a threat from some other team to be able to make a claim like that, to say, actually, Lando should be playing rear gunner for me, and we should be working as a team here to maximize my points so that I win the Drivers' Championship over the other person. The question is, who would that be?
Yeah, I think that if we're going to be big on Oscar, for example, I think that just relies on being big on McLaren. And if McLaren are good, then I don't think that the constructors will ever be in such a position where it'll be in doubt. And because of that, the pressure to move the drivers around to be like, oh, look, let him pass so he can go and chase down Russell, for example. Don't see them in that position very often, because if one of them is in a position like that, the other is probably likely to be there too.
Yeah.
And we've seen in the past that they are quite open about, like, if there is a big differential, it's like, oh, look, he's faster than me. And it'll be
Yeah.
about chasing individual
Let's just do
wins
this.
at that point, as opposed to being like, let's swap you so he can just get more points. I think it'll be like, let's swap you so he can go get the next guy,
Yeah.
because they will just be consistently chasing because the car's so good.
They did kind of show their hand a little bit last year, I think, because Lando was quite a bit behind Verstappen, but the sniff of the chance of a driver's championship and constructors championship got them to say, like, okay, we are actually, like when they asked Piastri to switch places in the sprint for Lando. So, I mean, they have shown their hand to say that we will do that if we think it's justified. It's just, what's the scenario where it would be justified, right? So, I mean, I think that if it's Piastri way out in front and then Lando a bit behind, and then everybody else is off in the distance, then we won't see anything like that. It'll just be fight as long as you're close to each other. The thing is, what if Lando can hold something of a lead? Then I think they'll just be like, whoever qualifies first, then we'll let you race for a couple of laps during the race, but that's kind of it. Bring the results home. Like the drivers isn't in doubt. It's going to be one of you. So just, get it done in qualifying. And that seems to be, like, we saw how angry Piastri was at himself for not qualifying better in Japan. And he said it really cost him, and it just did.
Yeah, because I think that there would be loads of situations where the rules are really about, who's qualified better and who's got track position now. Because I think the circumstances that actually come up are things like they're 1 and 2, and there's a good undercut opportunity. Let's say it's, Russell in third. They would be saying things like, whoever's coming second at that point, hey, can you just, instead of chasing down your teammate, how about you just hold up the Mercedes for us? Just, make sure he doesn't get past you, but try to increase that differential. Like if the undercut's worth 3 or 4 seconds, let's try to push that out to like a 6 or 7 second window, so that when the pit stops come about, we've got some optionality here, and we know that you'll get some clean air and you'll be able to come really easily back up. You're not putting yourself at too much threat. For example, we'll just pit you at exactly the same time the other guy pits. Things like that. It's about whether those drivers actually feel like they want to do that, or feel like they're just getting the rough end of the stick in all of those circumstances. And in the past, I think they've kind of shown that both of them, will at least entertain the question, because there's no clear number 1, number 2, I don't think, at McLaren anymore. However, I don't think the championship has actually been so on the line like it is this season. They will now just be looking directly opposite each other across the garage, just being like, I have to kill you in qualifying every single time.
Yeah.
And if I can get you on the first corner, I will try.
Yeah. I mean, I've been watching Formula One long enough to know how these things work. And I guess I just came into the season with an assumption, and it seems to be correct, that it's going to be up to them both in the first part of the season to prove that they are, like, just to build for themselves, not that they're better, but just to build for themselves a good year and to build a lead on the other driver to justify that case later in the year. And we knew coming into the season that Lando was really good in qualifying, and what he needed to improve was his starts. And then if he could improve his starts, it was kind of easy going from there, because he was always stroking it from that point on. Piastri needed to improve qualifying results and or continue to attack, which he's kind of done. So Piastri, I think, has come out and delivered what he needed to deliver in the first 2 months of the season. And Norris sort of did okay at the start, but it seems to have fallen away and be trending worse. So, I mean, things are looking pretty good for Piastri in that regard. So, I mean, I feel like there'll be a lot of people online talking about the championship hope. I mean, he's even in the odds. I think he started the year 5th in terms of the odds for winning the Drivers' Championship, and now he's level 1st. So Piastri, like, it's the Piastri hype train that everyone's going to be getting on. So if anyone like is confused about why, like, that's all that stuff that we just spent 15 minutes talking about, all of that, that's why.
Yeah, exactly. Because basically we're going into the next race, Saudi Arabia, and it could just be settled on Saturday. It's never settled on Saturday, but essentially, if Piastri qualifies first, then nothing really goes wrong in that race.
With these cars, it could be settled on Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. Barring any, and at these big racetracks, you don't necessarily see as many safety cars, these kinds of things, because there's lots of runoff zone. Like there's less chance of something crazy happening, I think, in these races, and so there's a lot of room for drivers to basically just drive as hard as they can. And so what that will mean for the McLarens is that they should be the fastest over the weekend. So if Piastri qualifies first, he's in and he wins, that's it. He's in front of the championship going into this next, we get a little break and then we come back into the new upgrades, new part of the season. Yeah. But all it takes is for Norris to qualify, just to win, and suddenly he's 10 points clear. And that's a lot of breathing room.
DNF really quickly. Piastri and the Norris win. And it's like forget it. Like that's months to build that back.
Exactly.
Anything can happen. It's a crazy old sport.
Yeah. So I don't think Norris is anywhere near done. I think he's an incredibly good driver. But at this stage, if you had to pin me down to who will win the championship, I think it will be Piastri. He just looks clearer. He just looks so locked in. And he looks like he's got the car down. And I don't think the car's going to change too much over the season. Any other season, maybe. If this was the first year of the formula, it would be changing week to week and it would be like, hard to know. But they were the best car last year. And Piastri looks like he's taken a step up in his driving, and Norris looks like he stayed the same. And all the concerns I had about Norris last season are all the same concerns I have now. And I think if there's a little bit of a pressure applied to him, it's what happened last season, a little bit of a pressure, and he went, actually, maybe not.
Yeah. The only other thing I want to talk about is like Norris in terms of following, because it seemed like in Japan he was following Max, but couldn't really put together the pace to overtake him, where Piastri was right behind Norris for the whole time going, I'm right here and I've got oodles of pace and I can't even use it all because you're not letting me, you're in the way. And, yes, Norris sort of closed down to within a second of Verstappen in that race, but, Piastri was under half a second at times. So, I mean, It was like Piastri just was the faster. Like, I mean, there's all these graphs and stuff going around, people making various arguments. You could just look at the times on the track and just see that Piastri was going faster. And then in this race, Norris qualifying out of position in P6, great start. Give it that to him. Great start. But he was right behind Russell at the end of the first lap. Sure, he got a 5-second penalty, but also there was a safety car, and then he was on the right tires at the right time. And instead of gaining places, unlike Leclerc, he lost places to Hamilton. Then he was overtaking, leaving off the track. I mean, to think that he was behind Russell on lap 1, and he finished behind Russell after 57 laps. I just worry about that guy and following. And it's a good thing that the car is fast enough that he was able to overtake a couple of cars. But Russell's car was running on fumes with no electrics. And it should have been easy pickings, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Piastri's run off after the safety car, run off and won the race by 16 seconds. So the pace in that car is unreal. Norris has got to lift his game.
Yep. I'm with you. It might just be a gap in confidence too, because all at that time is exactly how Norris has said it. He's like, I'm not confidently going into corners. I'm not confident when I'm turning the wheel. I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen with the car. And Piastri seems, he's not in any dirty air, and he seems very confident. But even when he is, he seems more in control. So it's going to be very interesting over this next little period to see who will be feistier. And I think that people maybe think that Piastri is not going to be that feisty. That he's not going to get his elbows out, but I think he probably will. I think his racecraft at this point seems a little stronger. As well. Yeah, exactly. I mean,
he seems to be confident that he can put together a great race, but also when the moment calls for it, he will scrap.
Yeah. And you know who's going to be there to pick up the pieces every single week? George Russell.
That's right.
He's going to be there for every podium, every single week. I don't know how he does it. I don't know what he's doing.
Every race we're getting closer and closer to him pulling up at the end of the race, getting out of the car and being completely naked. He's just chucking off his race suit, chucking off his gloves, anything to lose a bit of weight and maybe gain a bit of aerodynamics or something. I don't know, but
absolutely.
It seems to be his thing. I don't know. Weird.